All right, good afternoon, and thank you all for sticking around to hear what we have to say up here. Where I'm excited to be up here with this group of folks. My name is Russell Walraven. I'm the CMO of SellersFi. We provide financial services to e-commerce businesses, working capital, lines of credit, term loans, and a number of different financial products. We're going to talk today about scaling your business. We're going to talk about some awesome resources and some strategies to help you do that. And first, I'd like to have our panel introduce themselves. Hartik, where you go first.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're having a wonderful time at FounderMade. My name is Hartik Singh. I'm the Director of Merchant Experience on a platform called Recharge. We're a unified set of tools that help you grow and retain your customers on your e-commerce storefront. And we really love helping you grow your LTV with your customers. So excited to chat with you guys today.
Hi everyone, my name is Magda Houalla. I am the Senior Director of Strategy at Aspire. If you're not familiar with Aspire, we are an influencer marketing platform focused on connecting brands with anyone in their influential communities, from social media creators to affiliates, brand fans, even customers, and very laser focused on understanding the ROI and impact of influencer marketing. So sales-driven, content provided, and how that supports ads and everything in between. So really excited to be chatting today.
And hi everybody, my name is Rob Dawson. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Creator Co. Like Magda, we're a creator economy platform, so we connect brands, influencers, content creators together, essentially to drive value in the creator economy. So that can be user-generated content, building brand awareness, driving conversion through affiliate programs. And we really focus around companies, consumer products companies that are looking to scale and grow their business.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. So scaling a business, it often involves assessing the right resources, the right partnerships. From your perspective, what are some of those key resources and partnerships that business need to address to have a successful strategy? Rob, let's start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, thanks, Russell. I think this may be overlooked, there might be a bit of a different answer, but the biggest partnership that I think brands that are looking to scale should really tap into is partnership with their consumers. And I've been in this creator economy space for a long time. I've worked on crowdsourcing initiatives, fan creator programs, that sort of thing. And it's really about that opportunity of tapping into your best, most loyal customers and understanding them, listening to them, and really helping them drive and build that awareness for your brand. Like, you have this opportunity, you've got thousands of people out there that already love your products, so how could you tap into that and really turn it into something that's going to be a growth engine for you?
I'll add to that. I think that I agree 1,000%. I think that this idea of turning customers into advocates and really looking at them to tell your brand story. One thing is true that I'm sure everyone here knows is that as a brand, you don't control your brand message. You don't control how people think about your brand. That is completely in the minds of the consumers. So if you're able to tap into a community of individuals that are fans of your brand, that are excited to chat about you, and really turn them into advocates and reward them accordingly, whether that's through something like a customer affiliate program or simply a rewards program, that really is the best place to start when you think about scaling out marketing for your business.
Oh yeah, Magna nailed it. So a lot of my brands that I work with, we're always asking so who are your loyal customers? How do I turn them into affiliates and influencers? And there's a lot of different ways. If you have a brand, utilizing subscriptions can really give you a lot of information on who's your most loyal customers. Are they the ones staying with you 3, 5, 6 months? And then the other option is actually taking a look at memberships as well, kind of identifying the customers who opt into it and treating them differentially, and then funneling them into influencers and communities so they can be your evangelists too. Those are some really easy hacks.
Yeah, no, that's great. And we were talking about it backstage about how social media has kind of moved the goalpost and influencers have moved the goalposts. And me as a marketer, I've been a data-driven marketer most of my career. I get a little bit of stress when I think about how do we track this stuff? What's the ROI? What key performance indicators, what KPIs can we use when these things are implemented into our business? So I know, Magda, you talked a little bit about ROI, being focused on ROI. So how do you address the return aspect and the KPI aspect of some of these things that have historically been difficult to track?
Yeah, that's a really great question and something that I've sort of made it my career mission to figure out, specifically when it comes to influencer marketing. So I think it's important to understand that influencer serves a unique purpose. It is an entirely new channel that did not exist, 15 years ago, and you are able to look at influencer as a channel. You can give out affiliate links, you can drive affiliate sales, but also when it comes to understanding the real ROI, you have to understand the ways that influencers impact your other channels. So to give you an example, influencers are able to provide you with the assets that you need to fuel your performance channels across Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, anywhere that you're running social ads. So the value you're getting from these partnerships improves dramatically when you're able to say, hey, this program drove X amount of affiliate sales, generated X amount of impressions, and the content that we created improved our cost per acquisition by 30%, or improved our return on ad spend by X%. So that's really what we focus on at Aspire, and I'm sure in the industry as a whole, it's been a real topic of conversation, is there are so many different ways to extract value, and you need to look at multiple data points to really understand the full impact and the true ROI, I should say.
Yeah, I think I'll just build on that a little bit, because you're right, Magda. Like today there's actually too many metrics, right? Before we didn't have enough, but now we have so many metrics. So it's a matter of figuring out for your brand, for your product, what are the key metrics that you're really going to judge success and return on investment on, and then tracking those religiously. And these are all available through platforms that that you're probably already using, or ones that you can access. And to be able to track those metrics, understand, how do A/B testing, see what works and what doesn't work. Does user-generated content drive more awareness and reach than your own produced content? One of the things that we track as well is what's the value of that content alone? If you were to take the type of content that a content creator produces, that video content, and hire an agency to do that, thousands and thousands of dollars would be spent, and it may not even be that authentic at the end of the day. So there's lots of metrics to track these days, and like I said, just focus on the ones that are important to you.
Oh, okay. You said value of the content. How many of you guys are deeply worried about your LTV to CAC ratio? Do any of you guys watching out for that? Okay, good. You should, right? And the ratio is really high. It's 3-to-1. That's the golden ratio. That's where investors are going to be like, ooh, you're hitting it. That's the value in which your influencers, any of your marketing is actually being effective. And it's super hard to actually get that 3-to-1 value just with one-time purchasers, especially now on online sales. It's really hard to track your customers, figure out, are they coming back? Are they being repeat? The one beautiful thing that when you really start thinking about, you've nailed a cohort of customers from a specific channel, is how do you get the most amount of orders out from them? Once you start thinking about that, usually that 3-to-1 can show up maybe on their second or third reoccurring order, and then you can start optimizing it when you know that they're loyal. So hey, let's increase their average order value. So then all of a sudden this single metric, which is LTV to CAC, starts becoming more nuanced, specific KPIs that you could start pulling levers for to get that maximized LTV ratio.
And so when LTV to CAC is the kind of the golden metric, which I agree, I think that's great. In our world, and in a lot of people's world, a lot of brands' world, there are limited resources, right? So we're trying to do all of these different things. We're trying to do paid media, we're trying to do social media, we're trying to do influencer marketing. How would you guys try to convince someone, spend money here, not spend money there? What is the argument? What is the argument that wins, right? To do things differently maybe than you've done in the past?
That's a good question, because I come across that question every day, and what we encourage our customers to do, or prospective customers to do, is to pilot a program, right? And to run a pilot that has clear KPIs over, say, a 3-6 month time frame. Do some variety in there where you're doing some A/B testing and really measure it, and then learn from that measurement, that success, and then turn that into an ongoing initiative. So, you don't need to be tied into a year-long program that you don't know that whether it's going to drive success for you or not, but really pilot it and give it a try. And 9 times out of 10 it works. You need to tweak a few variables, and then you can really drive it, and scale it.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, what it comes down to is what's going to be the most cost-effective channel to get to where you want to be. So of course, when I think about it through the lens of influencer, it is an incredibly cost-effective channel because you need to do two things as a business. You need to get in front of as many people as possible in as short amount of time as possible, and you need assets to fuel all of the other channels. Again, meta ads, TikTok ads, website, email marketing, product page, packaging, all of that. So influencer becomes an incredibly cost-effective channel when you think about the fact that you're accomplishing both of those. Send as much product to as many influencers as possible, and you're going to get in front of, tens of thousands, if not millions of people. We were talking backstage about this idea of the race to 1 billion impressions. Influencers are going to be the best channel to do that versus trying to own it yourself. And then on the other piece, again, as both Rob and myself mentioned earlier, you're able to get diversified assets at scale that would be nearly impossible for you to produce in-house. Just the sheer volume and diversity that you get by giving your product to a creator and asking them to produce content versus sending your internal team or working with a number of agencies, that's going to be incredibly cost effective as well. So yeah, when it comes to the conversation of where should I invest, where should I spend my time, my ad dollar, it's all very precious, especially right now. I think about it through the lens of what's the most cost effective way to get as much done as you need to get done, especially early on.
Oh gosh. I love all of this, by the way. So as you probably can tell, they're trying to acquire...
What are we going to disagree about?
No, not at all. I mean, because it's two sides of the coin that's so important. I've heard this saying in so many different fields, e-commerce or even in software, when you first get a customer is the first time you start losing that customer, right? So when you're acquiring it through these really incredible channels, you're going to start having to think about retention. It's super important. How do you think about retention? It's keeping that relationship fresh. It comes in a lot of different ways, but don't think of it separately from your influencer channels. Think about that journey that the customer is going through as they're still entertaining that experience with your influencers. So if your influencers are talking about a new product, why not introduce your existing customers to that new product? Expand your ecosystem, open up bundling, open up complementary experiences that keep your existing customers sticky. It's going to do two things. Obviously, you're going to acquire new customers and it's going to keep your retention healthy. There's a lot of ways you can do this. Like I mentioned, upselling is great. A really common trend, especially now because it's holiday season, surprise and delight. Instead of discounting, instead of watering down your margins, think about how you can work with your influencers to throw in free gifts, exclusives from their specific channels. And that can only happen when you understand where those customers are coming from and you're tracking their journey along the way. So there's some really cool things that honestly, you're kind of like a part of their journey with your product as well as the content that you have around the product.
No, that's super cool, and I would like to hear, and I hope you guys would like to hear, what are some success stories? Where have these things been successful for you guys, and how can that potentially be utilized by the people listening, the people wanting to learn about this in their business? How can they take the stories that you guys have seen and then incorporate it into what they're trying to do?
I mean, I can go. There's several brands that I love to talk about, but one that I've worked with for the last 10 years is a company called Lego. And you may have heard of them. I think they call them Legos here. I'm from Canada, we call it Lego. And you could say, okay, it's Lego, right? But Lego started with a very simple idea. It was started by a founder who made wooden toys in a little town called Bill in Denmark. And the whole idea behind his company, which turned into a global brand, was learning through play. And it was all about learning through play. And to this day, that's really the foundation of the vision of the company is how can we enable people through the course of their entire life to learn through play. So if you fast forward to today, Lego as fan creators, they have one of the most highly developed consumer communities. I was fortunate to be involved in a project called Lego Ideas, which today is 3.1 million people actually designing products for Lego. It's actually a business unit inside of Lego. And it all started from that premise of how do we embrace these people that love our product and how do we bring them into our ecosystem and how do we enable them to do that. And I think every brand out there's some amazing brands out here, by the way. I think everybody has the opportunity to do that, is really embrace what it is that your customers love about you and your product and just give them that platform to be able to talk about it.
I love that example because it goes back to this whole idea of turning your people into advocates. One example that I really like is HelloFresh. So we've worked with them for quite some time now, and I think that this is a really great example of the power of personalization when it comes to content. So they started with the one-to-many messaging. It was kind of the same ad that was shot out to everyone across all channels. And when they realized that through creators they can get diversified content still at scale, that's really when they were able to win this category, meal kit, meal prep category. So they basically work with about 10 to 15 different, they built 10 to 15 different personas of the types of people that they want to go after, and then they back that into finding creators that can produce content that will speak to that audience. So certainly low-hanging fruit is going to be home chefs or parents or college students, but they actually tapped into gamers, and they found that that was an incredibly interesting and powerful channel for them. So they've just done an incredible job with improving ad performance across the board by working with hundreds of thousands of creators to produce, millions of assets that they can then test in a way that is really nimble, so they can really understand what's working, combat fatigue, and ultimately prove that influencer is a channel that can support performance in a really meaningful way.
Content is king when it delights and turns off this concept of apathy. I think that's what you're really fighting with your customers. When they just forget about your product or how important it is as a brand in their lives. The easiest way to stop burnout, it could be at your company, it could be with your customers. Education. Education, education, education. It really is super important to talk about the benefits, the evolution of your product, what you stand for. All of this is incredible content that can be delivered not only online, through evangelists. It can actually also be done physically with your product and with everything that you have at hand. One of my favorite stories, we work with a female wellness brand called Love Wellness. And as they're exploring and providing more options to their customers to live a healthier and happier life cycle, they are giving these products to those customers in sample sizes with educational information to help supplement it. So that wombo combo of not only learning, but also engaging and seeing if it meets your life cycle, then instantly, after the sample is done, they're courting that customer with the full-size product. I like to call it kind of the Costco vibe. If you go to Costco, you go in the back and those cute grandmas give you a little sample, and then you walk down the aisle and you're 10 pounds heavier with maybe ravioli, but you're walking out with a smile because you were educated, you were treated appropriately, and you knew it was tasty and good for your life cycle. So being able to have that really intricate customer journey is a cool way, and it all starts with education.
But don't forget, when you're leaving Costco, you don't just have ravioli, you always have toilet paper, and you always have paper towels, whether you need them or not.
Maybe too much toilet paper,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the next question I'm going to ask, I'm asking it selfishly, right? Because I want to know this as much as I think other people want to know this. You guys make all this stuff sound easy, right? Sound awesome, sound easy. We have to go do it today. It's not always that easy when you leave, right? What are a couple of tips, just a couple of things each of you would leave these people with? Is how do they start? How do they get started, right? That's the hardest thing in starting a new channel, building a new strategy. What are just a couple of things that you would say, take this with you, here's how you start?
I guess we're going in order. We're very polite up here. I think some of these things you can try yourself, and you can, obviously you've got your own social media, your way of managing that. You can, DM people that are commenting back, and you can kind of build a bit of a groundswell, a grassroots movement. But what we find is, like, very quickly that becomes unscalable and becomes very time consuming, and you're busy building your business. And so this is a bit of a shameless plug, but I think find good partners that have technology, they have platforms, they have the ability to provide services that can really enable you to do this at scale, because that's where you really get the benefits. And so if that's finding a good social media agency to manage that, if it's finding an influencer marketing platform, if it's finding a business that can help you manage your subscription business or your community, like, find good partners, make sure they're aligned from a value standpoint, and they're bought into your vision as a founder, and then really grow. Like I have a lot of great examples of businesses that started as mom and pop operations or somebody doing this at their kitchen table, and with good partners, they grew into like multinational brands because they partnered early and they really, you know, embraced that partnership with these companies, you know, right from the ground up.
I agree with that 100%, as I've agreed with pretty much everything that everyone said. But yeah, the right partners, that's critical. That is going to be make or break for your strategy. I think on top of that, just tactically, if someone were to say, day one, I want to start working with creators and I've never done it before, seed product. Get your product into people's hands, and remember that creators make a living producing content that's creative, that performs well on social, and that will help them grow their audience. So you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to put together this 10-page brief with all of the talking points. Get the product in their hands and give them creative freedom. That's going to be a really great step one. And of course, you know, your program will become much more sophisticated as you figure out what content converts, what types of creator messaging is resonating not only with their audience, but with your audience. But yeah, sending out product and letting the creators do what they do best is going to be a great place to start.
I think the biggest learning I have with a lot of my merchants are when they are just turning on subscriptions, they're probably like 2 to 3 months in, and then all of a sudden, 20 to 30% of their business organically went subscriptions. And they're like, Hardtake, why didn't you just tell me to turn this on earlier? I was like, first off, I didn't know you before. But there's this great saying, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago or today. So I really recommend, as you're thinking about your business, don't think about where you want to hone it in to be exactly perfect, because you need to meet where your customers are, and your customers are not perfect. They're not thinking exactly how you're thinking or how your brand thinks, but they may love your brand. So opening up the different ways you're selling, the different channels that you're courting through, whether it's through, you know, UGC or through like SEO optimizations, do everything and measure everything. And where you see the income come through, the customer acquisition and retention, reinvest in those areas. Literally yesterday, one of my subscription-only businesses just turned on one-time products. And they're like, holy cow, this works. I didn't even have a product page. I only had a subscribe page. So these large companies, and this is a huge diaper company, it's really eye-opening that even the monoliths out there are still learning. And you, in any stage of your company, just try it out. I think it's the right time.
Yeah, that's...
Sorry, just one thing I want to add, because Magda, I think you touched on it with working with creators specifically. And I think a common mistake that a lot of brands make when they're first working with creators is they think of them like, how can they get my message out? How can they tell my talking points? And you know, we had a brand last week that said, can we provide a script to them? And we're like, well, you can, but I think the thing you need to remember is they're brands too, and they are creative, they know their followers, they know the talking points, they know their audience, and they also know the way they want to communicate. And so how do you harness that creativity and that potential and not try and be too prescriptive with it? A lot of companies make that mistake, and then it becomes just very transactional. It's like, yeah, I'll do that post for you for that product or that payment, but there's no relationship after that, right?
I think for everyone listening, that is probably the most important point when it comes to creator, is leaning into their expertise. If someone says, can we write a script for them, just run in the other direction, tell whoever is mandating that no, let's not.
Yeah, and that's a great lead into what I was going to ask next, right? So in our business, we're offering working capital, we're offering term loans. People, a lot of times, take it for the wrong reason. And that money does not help their business grow, right? So I could give numerous stories about how people used our product and it did not help their business. But there are also tons of stories where financing helped. A lot of time on these panels, we do what we just did, right? What works? Tell us what works. Tell us the success story. You started us off, Rob, but are there any other horror stories? How are people doing it wrong, right? What did someone come in, they come to you and they do things wrong? I think we can learn from that as much as we can learn from the success stories.
Oh, I got one. I got a juicy one. So once upon a time, I was an account manager. So I actually was the director of account management. I'm now the director of just all my merchants on subscriptions. The biggest thing that I told all of my merchants and clients that I worked with, stop tinkering. Stop changing everything every single day. You don't know what works at that point in time. You have to understand what are the variables that are important to your business, and those take time. I had one of my companies try out a new checkout, a fully custom one. They turned it on for 2 hours and saw the worst metrics possible, instantly cut it, and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just developing it for 2 hours. Not right. Take some time. Customers are not fickle, not on average. Maybe one customer may be fickle, but on average, your customers are behaving the same way. So let them behave over a period of time and measure it. And you'll find that there is a secret to your business that you can rely on by just measuring it and being consistent with that data.
Yeah, I think a horror story that comes up a lot is influencer marketing did not work for us. And I'll say, okay, well, how many people did you work with? And I'll say, we worked with 4 creators. That is way too small of a sample size. So I think that, similar to your point, you need to have the scale to understand what types of people are going to convert, what types of personas really work well for you. But ultimately, you need to have a little bit of patience. Like these programs, you're not going to flip a switch and overnight influencer is now a channel where you're only working with 4 people and it's driving all of the revenue for your business. You want to work with, let's say upwards of 50 people at least to begin with. Give it at least 6 months to understand what works, what channels are actually the most optimized for your business. But yeah, the horror story that I hear a lot is like, oh, it's just not working for me, but we worked with sub 10 people. So it's hard to judge based off of that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a horror story, but I think one thing that we see working in influencer marketing with creators is that brands, they want to work with those big celebrities that we all hear about and we all follow, but nobody actually really cares about or actually believes what it is that they're saying. And you know what? That's really expensive. And it doesn't necessarily produce the results that you're looking for. Like, we have a lot of success working with micro-influencers, authentic content creators, true brand ambassadors that are loyal. They only want to work with brands that they know and love, that they've actually tried, that they use their products, and that's really where you should focus. Like, keep it authentic, right? And don't just also go with who happens to email you or DM you one day. Like, again, platforms exist like ours, like Aspire's, where you can search at a very granular level to find the right influencers and creators to work with. And that searching takes some time, and you need to find that needle in a haystack and do some pilot testing with them. But when you find those great creators, they will drive your business.
I think just one piece to add on to that, because I think that's such a good call out, is you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. One thing we talk about at Aspire is this, we call it the queen bee strategy, where you might have 1 to 2 macro creators that are essentially like the modern day celebrity endorsement, but that's not enough. You don't want to just be there. You want to have kind of this hive, if you will, going with the bee example, of micro and nano creators that are not only speaking about the brand through their perspective, but maybe even calling out to that queen bee creator that's posting, that is that celebrity endorser. So definitely worthwhile to have, some macro presence, but on the whole, really where you're going to get the engagement, where you're going to see the most impact and traction, at least right now, is going to be with the nano and micro type creators.
No, that's great. I appreciate it. And this clock is very intimidating. We have about a minute and a half left. So
I didn't even notice there was a clock there.
So I'm a firm believer of rising tides raises all ships, right? So I think trying new things, doing new things, different things, that's really the unlock to business growth. So 1 minute left. Do you guys have one last thing you want to leave people with before we go?
Oh yeah, maybe on that theme of try new things. I think if you're in e-commerce and you're just trying discounts, that's all you got as a tool. Try something else. Add value to your product. Surprise and delight. Add gifts. Add value to your customers. Think about maybe crediting, putting dollar amounts, incentivizing customers to do. So think outside of the box. A lot of the things that we have in e-commerce, you're competing with other people to the bottom. Try maybe something to the left, right, top, bottom. There's other directions to explore. And good luck with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You guys will all kill it. Think about retention though, because then you'll get more out of just your ad spend.
I'll leave you with this. Don't be afraid to think of social media as a commerce channel. TikTok and Meta particularly, they are leaning into commerce capabilities, and it is giving me a lot of excitement about what the future of social holds. So don't be afraid to sell hard on social media. Don't be afraid to give out affiliate links and have commission structures with creators. It really is less and less a place where people are going to just catch up with their friends or post photos, and we're seeing that the distance between inspiration and transaction is shorter than ever before. So especially Black Friday, Cyber Monday, good luck to all. Take advantage of this.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, TikTok's the #1 search engine amongst youth right now. So like that is a complete shift and, you know, is impacting business as a whole. I'm going to maybe just be a little contrarian in terms of, you know, the last tip to leave you with. And that is that business, whether, you know, it's working with your customers, your vendors, your influencers, your creators, it's about people and relationships. These are real people, the people that are consuming your products, the people that are talking about your products on social media. So really build strong relationships with them, make sure they're aligned in terms of your values. And again, they will help drive your business. They will become your biggest fans.
All right, well, thank you all. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Good
everyone.
luck.